Deep breath in, exhale slowly. You hear that? That's the sound of the wrestling world holding its breath. Because what we're about to break down for you today isn't just a rivalry. It isn't just a confrontation. What went down between LA Knight and Trick Williams is the kind of moment that makes you slam your phone down, grab the person next to you, and say, "Did you just see that?" Welcome back to Wrestling Impact. If you're new here, buckle up, because we do not play around with mediocre content. And today we are giving you everything. Every shove, every word, every single electric second of the massive brawl between LA Knight and Trick Williams that has the entire WWE universe losing their collective minds heading into Elimination Chamber. So sit down, turn the volume up, and let's get into it. Now before we get to the chaos, and trust me, the chaos is glorious, we need to set the stage. Because great wrestling isn't just about bodies hitting the mat. It's about stories. It's about two human beings who want the same thing so badly that eventually, words aren't enough. Eventually, security guards aren't enough. Eventually, the laws of professionalism go right out the window. And that is exactly the energy we are dealing with here. LA Knight. Let's talk about this man for a second. If you've been sleeping on LA Knight, first of all, what are you doing with your life? This is a guy who walked into WWE and essentially said, "I don't care what role you had planned for me. I'm taking the spotlight," and he did exactly that. The crowd response this man gets is absolutely unreal. When that music hits and he steps out, it doesn't matter what's happening in the ring, every single head turns. Every single one. He's got the charisma of a movie star, the mic work of a legend, and the in-ring ability to back every single word up. Yeah. And then there's Trick Williams. Now this is a man in the middle of one of the hottest trajectories in professional wrestling right now. Trick Williams is no longer the sidekick. Trick Williams is no longer the hype man. Trick Williams is the main event. He came up through NXT with something to prove, and he proved it so convincingly that the main roster was inevitable. He's got the swagger, the athleticism, the personality, and most importantly he's got that hunger. That desperate, burning, Dante get in my way kind of hunger that makes superstars dangerous. Two men. Two completely different personalities. Two completely identical ambitions. A spot in the Elimination Chamber. And there is only so much room at the top. So here's how it all started building. For weeks, there had been this tension, you know the kind. It's not the kind where two guys are screaming at each other every Monday. It's the quieter, more dangerous kind. The kind where they're both cutting promos, both winning matches, and every now and then they lock eyes from across the arena and the temperature in the building just shifts. The fans felt it. The commentators felt it. And honestly, Knight and Trick felt it too. Knight had been on an absolute roll. Going into this week, he'd been cutting some of the sharpest promos of his career, talking about legacy, talking about what Elimination Chamber means for a guy at his level. He talked about how there are moments in this business that define you forever, and how he wasn't going to let anyone stand between him and his moment. He said it with that signature intensity, that pointed finger, that look in his eyes that made you think, yeah, he means every single syllable. Meanwhile, Trick Williams had been making statements of his own, not just with his words, but with his body of work. His matches had been getting more aggressive, more polished, more confident. He started talking about how the chamber wasn't just an opportunity, it was a coronation. He said this was his time, his era. And if somebody wanted to step up and test that theory, he was more than ready to prove it the hard way. You could feel the collision coming, like thunder rolling in before a storm. You just knew. And then came the night everything exploded. It was a regular show. Or at least, it was supposed to be. The kind of show where you expect good matches, solid promos, standard build toward a pay-per-view. But professional wrestling has a way of throwing the script out the window, and this night was no different. LA Knight was in the middle of a segment. Microphone in hand, crowd completely in his pocket, doing what he does best, commanding a room with nothing but his presence and his words. He was laying out exactly why he was destined for the Elimination Chamber, why the other participants should be nervous, why when all was said and done, the only name anyone would remember was LA Knight. The crowd was electric. The energy in that building was something else. And then the music hit. Trick Williams walked out, and you could feel the entire arena shift. Half the crowd erupted in cheers for Trick, the other half were already chanting for Knight, and right in the middle of all of it, these two men were staring each other down like the only two people in the world. The commentators immediately went quiet for just a beat, that instinctive pause when you know something real is about to happen. Trick grabbed a microphone from ringside. Didn't even wait for the crowd to settle. He looked Knight dead in the eyes and said, "I respect you, but respect doesn't get you into that chamber. Respect doesn't win championships. And respect sure isn't going to stop me from taking everything I came here for." Knight didn't even flinch. He tilted his head slightly, that little smirk creeping across his face, and he fired right back. He told Trick that he appreciated the confidence, he genuinely did, but that there was a difference between confidence and delusion. He said Trick was talented, sure, but that he was standing in the ring with a man who had been carrying crowds on his back for years. He said, "When you've been in the fire as long as I have, the flame doesn't scare you anymore. So come on down here. Come say that to my face." And Trick Williams? He walked down that ramp without hesitation. Now here's where the atmosphere in that arena became something indescribable. Two of the hottest commodities in WWE, face to face, inches apart, in the middle of a ring, with a pay-per-view hanging in the air between them. Every fan in attendance was on their feet. Nobody was sitting. Nobody was checking their phone. This was one of those genuine moments where the entire world of wrestling stopped and paid attention. The exchange that followed was back and forth, rapid fire, and absolutely riveting. Trick told Knight that the moment Knight walked into the chamber, it became Trick's world. Knight told Trick that he was still learning what it meant to be on this stage and that the chamber would be a very expensive lesson. Trick stepped closer. Knight didn't step back. Not an inch. Just stood his ground with that unshakable confidence that makes him so compelling to watch. And then someone shoved someone. Now listen, every account of that moment agrees on the shove. The debate among fans, among commentators, around the internet is about who threw the first one. Some people watching the footage say Knight initiated. Some say Trick moved first. Honestly? At this point, it doesn't matter, because the moment that shove happened, everything erupted. Knight and Trick went at it. Not a choreographed lock-up. Not a clean wrestling exchange. A flat-out, adrenaline-fueled brawl. Punches thrown. Bodies colliding. The crowd exploding with a noise that shook the building. Trick caught Knight with a massive right hand that sent him stumbling into the ropes, and Knight came right back with a clothesline that nearly turned Trick inside out. These two were not performing for the cameras. This was visceral. This was raw. This was two elite competitors who had been circling each other for weeks and finally letting every single ounce of that tension out at once. Officials poured out from the back immediately. Security tried to intervene. And I mean tried, because separating LA Knight and Trick Williams in that moment was like trying to stop a freight train with your bare hands. Every time they got pulled apart, they surged back toward each other. Knight was yelling something, you could see it on his face even if you couldn't quite make out the words. Trick was pointing, that intensity in his eyes turned all the way up. The fans were absolutely unhinged in the best possible way. The chants were deafening. Some chanting for Knight, some chanting for Trick, and somewhere in the middle of all of it, the entire building chanting for what they desperately wanted to see, these two inside the Elimination Chamber together. It took several minutes and a small army of officials to finally restore any semblance of order. Trick was pulled to one side of the ramp. Knight was held back near the ring. Both of them still seething, still staring each other down, neither one willing to look away first. And as Trick was escorted through the curtain, he turned one last time, pointed directly at Knight, and didn't say a single word. He didn't need to. Knight stood in that ring alone, crowd still buzzing around him, and he just smiled. That slow, deliberate, predatory smile. And he pointed right back at where Trick had disappeared. Now let me tell you something. Moments like that don't happen by accident. Yes, there is a layer of professional storytelling to what we watch in WWE, but the emotion? The aggression? The electricity? That is real. You cannot fake a crowd reaction like the one we saw that night. You cannot manufacture the kind of intensity that was radiating off both of those men. What we witnessed was two elite performers who also genuinely want to be the best, who also genuinely see each other as obstacles, who also genuinely want that spot in the Elimination Chamber with everything they have. And that right there is what makes professional wrestling unlike anything else in entertainment. Think about it from LA Knight's perspective. This man has worked his entire career to get to moments like this. He's been in every kind of locker room, wrestled in every kind of building, paid every kind of due. He's not about to let the wave he's been riding get crashed by anyone, not even someone as talented as Trick Williams. For Knight, this isn't just a rivalry. This is a referendum on his legacy. And he will fight with everything he has. Now think about it from Trick's side. Here's a guy who people saw as a supporting character not too long ago. who had to legitimately fight for his place at the table, who came up through a developmental system, made himself into a star through sheer force of will and ability, and now finds himself standing on the biggest stages in the world with a chance to grab the brass ring. If he lets this moment pass, when does the next one come? For Trick Williams, backing down from LA Knight isn't an option. It never was. Two different paths, one destination, and the Elimination Chamber standing between them and everything they've ever worked for. Now heading into Elimination Chamber, the question everyone is asking isn't just who wins, it's how. Because we've seen what these two are capable of individually. We've seen the athleticism, the heart, the resilience. But now we know what they're capable of together, and together, they are absolutely combustible. Put them in a chamber, that unforgiving steel structure where there is nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, and the only question left is, who wants it more? Knight has experience on his side. He's been in high-pressure situations before. He knows how to pace himself, how to read a match, how to survive when his body is screaming at him to stop. There's a mental toughness to LA Knight that is genuinely elite. But Trick Williams has youth. He has momentum. He has the dangerous combination of talent and a chip on his shoulder. And in professional wrestling, the man with something to prove often digs the deepest when it matters most. The fans are split. Social media is a war zone. And honestly, that's exactly where we want to be as wrestling fans. That delicious uncertainty where you genuinely don't know what's going to happen, where both outcomes feel completely plausible, where the stakes feel real and the tension feels earned. That is championship caliber storytelling. And it all ignited with one massive brawl that nobody in that arena or watching at home will forget anytime soon. So where does this leave us? It leaves us counting down the days to Elimination Chamber. It leaves us watching every single segment, every single appearance, every single interview from both of these men with fresh eyes and heightened anticipation. It leaves us as fans doing exactly what the best wrestling always makes us do, genuinely caring about the outcome. LA Knight or Trick Williams? Yeah, or Trick Mella? Legacy or momentum? Experience or hunger? Whoever walks out of the Elimination Chamber with their hand raised, one thing is absolutely certain: they will have earned it. And the road that led there started with a brawl that shook the wrestling world to its core. This is what wrestling is supposed to feel like. This is why we show up every single week. This is why when someone asks you why you love pro wrestling, you think of moments exactly like this one: pure, undeniable, goosebump-inducing drama that no other form of entertainment can replicate. And here at Wrestling Impact, we are going to be with you every single step of the way. If you made it to the end of this video, you are exactly the kind of wrestling fan this channel exists for. The passionate ones. The obsessed ones. The ones who feel this stuff in their chest. Leave a comment below. I want to know who you've got at Elimination Chamber. LA Knight all the way, or is Trick Williams about to make history? Drop it below, let's have the debate. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join the Wrestling Impact family. We bring you this level of passion and detail on every single video, every single time. Ring the bell so you never miss a moment, because the road to Elimination Chamber is just getting started, and trust me, you do not want to fall behind. Until next time, stay passionate, stay loud, and never stop loving this beautiful, chaotic, incredible sport we call professional wrestling.